Oh, that might have sounded like a hot mess because I'm pretty sure I had music, or maybe it didn't. I don't know. Good morning. It's Monday. I'm glad you're here. My name is Deshaun. I'm also Java Grunt on Twitch and Kick. I'm a Spring developer advocate over at Broadcom, and I like to talk about Spring Boot, Spring Cloud, Raspberry Pis. The stuff that I do here, I'm gonna deploy over to Raspberry Pis. I'm a big fan of like the ARM 64 architecture and all the cool things it can do and all the money it can save and all that good stuff. But I do like Kubernetes, build packs, and getting to production. That's the deal. Uh, Today I'm going to look at Spring data and the new Spring Health Assessment Report. But as always, interrupts are welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Uh, my kids like to watch the show. Let me move this banner. Like, I have fun here. This is fun. What I'm trying to do is just really be available. Don't have really a big agenda or anything like that. Just like, let's just do stuff, be in the background and yeah, work together. So this is me. Hi. I'm going to say hi, mom and dad. I love you. My mom and dad are awesome. They are always watching my stuff. They're not always live. They're not always, checking in. They're not going to drop it in the comments or anything. But I know that they are always watching everything that I do. So I want to say hi, mom and dad. And my wife's asked, she says, how come you don't ever say hi to me? Well, my wife never watches the show. That's just how it works. Hi, mom and dad. Love you guys. But my kids watch. My kids watch. So when my kids watch, it's fun. If when you are here, you say hi and say where you're from. They get excited about like, hey, somebody from China, from India, from South America. They get excited seeing that kind of stuff on the map, and maybe I'll go back and go through. Hello from Argentina. Go back. It'd be fun to put things on a map, put some stuff on a map at some point. So yeah, it's fun. We're here. We're having fun. Hopefully the audio's okay. That's like the hardest thing for me to do, and I don't go through and check. So look at this. Hello from Denmark. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, this is what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna jump right into it. There's some interesting things, I guess, that are on my radar. A lot of people are doing Spring. I found a couple really interesting Twitch channels. Hello. A lot of people are doing this, integrating AI into their regular workflows, into their streams, into what they're doing. Security Live. Let me do a shout out for Security Live on Twitch. Security Live has their chat, not only his transcription, but also your chat, like as you're chatting, pulled in to like the summary, the context for the show. And I think that'd be really interesting. But then pulling it into like AI and capturing kind of the sentiment, what are the good parts of the show, etc. That's probably the coolest thing that's on my radar right now. And I'm excited to take that for a spin. He's got a TTS, text to speech bot that he does a lot of really cool stuff over in his show. So that's kind of the cool thing I wanted to shout out. But yeah, we're gonna get into Spring data. And we're gonna start. I don't have any real agenda. Hello, Jonas. Wonderful. Glad you're here. At the end of the week last week, we were talking a little bit about data and the different options. Hello, Miguel from Spain. I'm glad that you're here. We've done some really cool stuff on the show. What I'm doing is just building stuff around YouTube and the APIs and Twitch and the APIs that you have access to. A lot of people, when they come into streaming, they want to like capture things. One of the defaults is like building a bot. I want to build a bot for my chat. And that all makes sense. And what I'm happy to report, Tukes, who comes on sometimes, I've found that Tukes is following all of the Java streamers over on Twitch. And that's awesome. He makes it really easy. If ever I see Tukes in a channel, I know that, hey, it's good. It's worth stopping out. So I'm starting to collect all the different Java streamers, and I'm trying to encourage more people to stream with Java. That's my jam. That's fun. I've had a lot of time, dropping into other people's shows, just having somebody on in the background that's doing Java to help me kind of like think through things. Oh, I haven't thought about it that way. Hearing different approaches to problems is always a good time. Hello from Germany, Dimok, welcome. I don't remember where I saw it. One of the cool things was like, hey, if you had this situation, it was about sending out emails, and I don't remember where I saw it, but just the idea like, hey, here's what I've got to do. Here's a generic. We've talked about the billion row challenge. If you've got a billion rows to pull in, what are you going to do? Are you going to spend a lot of time to optimize it, or we just like get it done, right? What would you do if you starting the 1 billion row challenge is about how fast you can do it in Java alone, no third party dependencies. Background is like I'm a Redis guy. That's one of my superpowers. And when I hear about ingestion, billion rows, and all those things, like my default is just like throw it into Redis. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot more than that because it'll handle all that. But yeah. So one of those interesting things is like having a place to like ask questions about like, hey, what would you do if for the challenge that you're stuck on, whatever that is. Like bring it. We'll figure out a good way of getting there and making that easier to communicate. One of the other cool things that happened recently was Tramstars was on the stream and he had a question and I was just like, hey, just come on. I could just invite him in to the stream and we just talked through. It was about native images and what do you do when your third-party library native image isn't ready, doesn't have the hints? How do you go about adding those hints to your project so that you can use that third party that might have reflection in it? And it was fun. It was a good conversation. I liked that. I like pairing and working through problems. I think that's my strength at the moment is just like, hey, let's just use this bucket of experience that I have and talk it out and get through stuff. But today we're going to jump in. Everything comes down to the data, right? Java's moving more towards this kind of data oriented language, and AI is a big part of everything that we do. And one of the things that in my head, right, there's like this overarching umbrella of Spring Data, which is nice for those of us that are comfortable with it. I have this ability to use Mongo. I can use Redis. I can use Oracle, Postgres, right? I can kind of like, it's not a unified, like you don't get the same features from everything, but I can go across these different data stores. I can go across these different data stores and I have like common patterns. And that's really the only thing. I have these common patterns that allow me to kind of like move between these very different back ends with a little bit of ease and comfort. And if I'm being honest, like that's one of the things that makes me smile about Spring Boot. So now it's 2024. Now we're doing things around AI. And Spring AI is doing this similar kind of thing. It's giving me this similar kind of abstraction over these different projects, these different models. So I can tie into these different models. Right, ... And so here's the question. Are you going to add up some persistence to the cluster? So great question. So let's jump into that and let's talk about what we're doing. So here's Spring Data, here's Spring AI. These are things that are kind of top of mind. We'll be doing a lot of this in 2024. You'll be doing a lot of this in 2024. DMOC says, are you going to add some persistence to the cluster? So here, let me do a quick reminder where I'm coming from. My children will never deploy active passive. I'll leave that there. There's a video you can go and watch. This idea in my home lab, we're going to call that Deshaun Cloud. I've got 2 data centers, or I've got 2 networks, but you can treat them as regions. I got one over here. It's on AT&T, and I've drawn these pictures before. All right, we're not doing anything fancy here. But the one that's on T-Mobile, and then if outbound, if something happens with AT&T, this is the primary for all the stuff that's in my house. If something happens to AT&T, my network will fail over and T-Mobile will become the primary. Hello, everyone. Simon, I'm so glad you're here. Simon, I would like to get 15 minutes of your time. So at some point, actually, Simon, would you mind coming on the stream? Because we could do that now. When I want to talk about this spring health assessment report, it just went live today, and I would love to capture your feedback. So for everybody, Simon is somebody that I've been lucky enough to have conversations with. He's a part of this spring ecosystem. He always gives me amazing feedback, and my show with Dan Vega, the Spring Office Hours that we'll do later today, he's been one of the community members there since the beginning, since his, as far as I can remember. So I'm just going to invite him on the stream, and I'm going to shift topics a little bit. DMOC, I will come back to the persistent stuff right after that and spring data and what we're going to do. But this is kind of the picture that I have, right? I want whatever region that I'm talking to, I want them to have a data store and a consistent data store. There's this concept of a data foundation, but I want it to be consistent. I believe in active. I don't want to have a passive data center where I've got infrastructure that's not being used. I want to be able to accept traffic and load and scale across regions. That's one of my default settings, right? It's not a requirement, but that's kind of just as you go through your career, like, oh, I've been burned by this enough. I don't want to get burned by this again. And it just becomes something that you just automatically do going forward. So we'll come back to that. And what we're going to do now is I want to jump and I want to hear the words because there's a bunch of different ways of getting feedback. But I'm going to show this. This is live, so anybody can do this. And this is a fun, hey, coach, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. We're going to jump into something new. This just got announced. This just went out like this morning. So I want to get some feedback and let's take it for a spin. So I'm going to turn off my music. Boop, boop. And I'm going to switch my mic and I'm going to send an invite over to Simon. Let me get my audio reswizzled. Oh, you guys weren't even hearing the music. Well, that's lame. I was. Let me hit this button and see. And then we'll go from there. I'm gonna hit one more button. So yeah, this is something new and cool, and you can take this first as well. This is the Spring Health Assessment Report. I did it. Yeah, you shouldn't have music now. Did you have music a second ago? But I'm gonna send an invite to actually Jonas. I think I can bring you both on. So here's what I'm gonna do. Anybody that's over here, like, join. So I just threw it out on the stream chat. Simon. And then, yeah, we'll go. All right, so here's what we're doing. I did this already. So like I've had some access to this for a while. I just think that it's the bee's knees. We did this for a project that we did on the stream. I was just like, hey, let's go and let's just take a look. It was the task that I did it with. You build a document. Okay, got it. Thank you. No worries. You build a document that's just your Spring dependencies, right? And it tells you how to do it. So the idea is the Spring team is reaching out to say, hey, we want to get an idea of where you're at, right? So of course they're going to get a sense. You're going to send these projects. We always make these claims of what's being used where, So there is some metrics, but the only thing you're giving back to the Spring team is which libraries you're using and which versions you're using, right? Because there's obviously concerns. We don't want to give away too much stuff. Here, let me do this again. And I'm going to bring on Simon, and I'm going to take off my camera. Simon, hi.
Hello.
Welcome. I can hear you okay. Everything is good. Thank you so much for being here. I'm talking about this spring health assessment report, and I want to get your feedback. So let me start from the beginning. We want to get an idea of what you're using. So full transparency, like we're gonna get this data about what's being used out in the ecosystem beyond what we can glean from issues and start.spring.io. This is going to give the Spring team a better sense of what's going on. I've been talking a lot about how to upgrade and how easy it is to upgrade. So this for me is really an exciting feature. So what this is, it's the Spring Health Assessment Report where you can go in and get a report on a repository. It's a manual click, just do it. So you can do it once, you can do it as many times as you want, but you can get this report back. So here's the URL. Oh, let me put the URL out there because it's pretty slick, and I just want to get a sense of what do you think. So we're going to get started, and we're just going to walk through this. So first thing, I did this already for the Spring Cloud task that we did on the show, but we're going to grab it and we're do another. Actually, I'm going to go do an older one. I want to get a sense of what this looks like for a much older project. If I go here, let's do Spring Boot. I should have a 2.6. I should have a 1.5, shouldn't I?
I think so.
I thought I had a 1.5. Let's just do this 2.6. All right. So hey, it's been archived. It's read only, so I don't want to add that there. But let's grab one of these. What's a nice old project that's not archived? No. Sorry, I'm gonna find one of these that's. I didn't prepare.
Doing it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. What's this?
I think the Spring shell bug. Oh no, that's still
here.
supported.
Let's just do the Java Grunt one because I kind of know what's in there, and it's not too old, and it'll be familiar. Oops, sorry. So this is something that we did on stream weeks ago, so who knows how old it is. Let's do this one. I think this one's older. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. So let's see. So what we're going to do is we have that locally, and the instructions. Right, here's the instructions. Whether you're using Maven wrapper on Windows, Gradle, or this, like I'm using Maven, I'm going to copy this command. This is just the dependency tree. Grab the Spring dependencies, org.spring framework. Okay, so we're going to go to fun Java Grunt com, and then com Java Grunt listener. Oh, let me do this. We'll see, git pull, and let's run that command. So this is just going to generate a Spring dependencies.txt. So the fear of, I don't want to tell you all the things that I'm doing with my project. The only thing that we're doing is capturing the Spring framework dependencies.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Thoughts on that? So you're getting feedback, right? One of the things is there's lots of tools that'll tell you, hey, here's what's wrong. Here's you got to go fix this. There's a problem here. And this kind of goes a little bit different approach. It's still going to say, yeah, there's CVEs and all that kind of stuff, but just for these projects, the team that you're sending this information to is the stewards and champions of Spring, right? The whole ecosystem. So here's what we're doing. The next step is we're going to grab that file.
Maybe one thought I already have is because you mentioned you are grabbing only onto Spring libraries.
Yep.
For privacy reasons, but the intent of the tool is to analyze the vulnerabilities, etc. But then if you only capture the Spring ones and you have sensitive dependencies, because you include other libraries maybe, or you override SnakeYAML, of course, then you might still have false positives. So I think, personally speaking, just myself, I would include all my dependencies, or maybe only all the non-private company ones, to have a proper assessment. Because if you only kept the Spring ones, you might have false or negative results due to that.
Good. I love that. So yeah, keep thinking out loud. In my head, the Spring team, right? For these library, think of third-party library, generic
Mhm.
third-party library. Who do you want to get the information from? Right? If we are over here and we assume that everybody has a scanner somewhere, even if it's Dependabot,
Yeah.
right? On there, everybody's got that, and we've got these tools, and I think we're moving towards this. Don't just tell me about the problems that I have. Give me a solution. So just throwing that out there, kind of keep that in mind that this is, hey, let's grab the Spring stuff and let's analyze it from the Spring perspective and see what we come up with. So
Yeah.
let's keep going. So we got to put in our name. And all the stuff, right? So, right, transparency. Like you're like, why is this? Well, this is giving the Spring team an idea of what we're using, right? This is giving the Spring team an idea of what's actually being used out. That's a different way. It's a different approach, right? So now I've given my Spring dependencies, and I'm going to generate a report. Harpreet, right? This again, one of the other cool things that happened last week is Harpreet came on and asked, like, hey, how do we let's take a look at doing a PR. You're probably there. Let's take a look at doing a PR. And then Harpreet went and now he's done 2 PRs for Spring Cloud Task. And Jonas has submitted a PR. This idea that we have all these fun projects and it's an open source community and it's not as hard as you think to get involved and to become now your name is forever in the GitHub log.
Yeah.
Harpreet, Jonas, me, like, yay! Like, that's exciting. So that was another thing that happened this week. Now we're going to generate this report.
I think a lot of people are scared for their first pull request, but from my experience, the Spring community and open source in general is very open to input, and they are more than happy for contributions. So
Yeah, so I'm going to
go
try to
for
find
it.
there we go, a different view here so we can see you. Hey. So here's the report that we got. The nice thing, on those issues, there's issues that are marked as first time only issues. Like if you are hesitant about going in, that's what Harpreet did. He did a first time issue that was really, hey, go and replace a URL, point it to the new place to just kind of go through that process. It's like onboarding, right? And it was great. I'm happy. Last week was amazing. I could only hope to have another week like that. Here's our assessment. This is nice that everything that's in this project that we built, all of the things that we built are supported.
Mhm.
That's great. That means they're all in this kind of open source support window. Let's take a reminder. So this is the other piece. It's not just about, hey, there's issues here, right? It's like, are there going to be fixes? So this is another kind of thing to look at. Spring.io/support. Let's go to Spring Boot. Every project in the Spring window or in the Spring ecosystem has these windows of support. The green is the open source support window, meaning, hey, it's supported. So we can be using Spring Boot 3.1 and we're still going to get patches. So what this report is saying is, hey, you're using Spring Boot 3.1. There are issues, but you're still being supported. So you can expect some, especially if it's on here, you can expect that there's going to be a patch at some point. So this is
Hopefully.
cool. So what we're saying here is, hey, you're supported. So these are kind of the 3 big things. You're supported. There are some known issues, but because you're supported, you can expect those issues will be taken care of. And then, hey, you're upgraded. You're not going to have any issue getting upgraded from here. What they've done is they're taking a look at those dependencies. This one, they're taking a look at those dependencies, and they're saying, hey, you're you're on 3.2.1 or 3.2.0. Is it going to be hard for you to upgrade to 3.2.1? They're looking at the known upgrade paths for these dependencies, and they've said it's not going to be that difficult for you. Thoughts here?
Looks good.
All right. So
Maybe if there was an option, maybe because now you just have an insight to the percentage of libraries or vulnerabilities. But then if you on a hover effect or maybe on a tick, that you could expand and see which ones are impacted or included.
yep, perfect. So percentage supported libraries will reduce. So now you've also got, I'm kind of reading this for the first time too here. Your percentage of supported libraries will reduce from 100% to 36 over the next 10 months. So something over the next 10 months, which 10 months is a long time. In the next 10 months, we're going to have a new Spring Boot version and we're going to have a new Java version. Actually, in the next 10 months, we're going to have 2 new Java versions, right? Because in 2 months, we're going to have a new Java version. And in 8 months, we're going to have another new Java version. So in 10 months, hopefully we're moving forward a little bit, right? So 10 months, in today's world, that's a huge look forward.
That's correct. Structure concurrency with some luck.
Yes. So it's just saying, hey, if you don't do anything in 10 months, that number is going to change. You're not going to have things that are covered. 10 months, this is your stuff that's under this umbrella is not going to be covered. Okay. But the Spring Boot, Spring Framework release, Spring Boot, Spring Data, Spring, like there's kind of this chain of things that happen. Going back to the one that we did last week, GitHub. Right, and this one is not. It's not as pretty. It's not as exciting and safe. Whoops. Right, and I did this one. Actually, I can do it again. Like there's no big deal. We'll finish going through this one, and we'll do that one. So here, it's showing you like what's going to happen when your support is going to change, and that's it. Like if you're staying on the open source stuff, like fantastic, go forward. Now it's showing you vulnerabilities. There's some moderate, there is a high, right? Now what you said, hey, where are those coming from? Here we go. Discover, support, like, hey, if you're not supported, these are in here, you got options to go forward. But now here's the libraries. Here's what we evaluated here. Spring Boot starter logging. There's a high from Spring Boot 3.2.0. Commercial support, OSS support. So we're still supported until November 23rd. There's one vulnerability that has a high. And because it's still supported, we can expect that to have a fix. Okay?
Yeah.
But again, we're just doing the Spring stuff. Here's another one. Spring Data Commons. Moderate. There's 2. Moderate. Oh, I can hit plus here. Look at this. I didn't notice that before. This is in a PDF. Vulnerability, moderate and a low. Information disclosure in Guava. So here's the CVEs. Oh, did I have the CVE up here too? Oh, I sure did. All right. So that's cool. But you're probably getting this information from other places as well.
Yeah.
Right? What you're probably not getting from other places is this part. Right? You probably have tons of things that are telling you about all of the issues and CVEs that are in there, and you've got some way of, I'm going to worry about the criticals first, and then we'll come down, and as long as we're in shape. Some companies will have an evaluation that goes one step further. They'll say, for this repository, we're betting this much of our company on this repository, and we can't have even a low vulnerability on this one repository. So that one gets prioritized differently than the rest because they know how important each repository is to the stake of the business. We've talked about that before. So we're just going to keep on going. So those are the 3 that we found. There's 3 open CVEs, but they are in projects that are supported. So we can expect that that's going to have a fix. So if we come back later, we'll get a different one. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this. I'm going to save as PDF. I'm just going to save this one. And this is just kind of like I don't have to do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to git add Spring dependencies. Oh, I was making changes, but we're just going to do that one. And I'm going to copy that. What was it called? Spring. That one. I'm going to add that one here. And I'm going to just put those into my repository. So they're there, that there is something that's there. Like if you want to come and you're going to see this, I'm just going to throw it out there so that you can see, do you want to use this repository or not? Do you have to do any automation? Like, oh, don't want to bring this in. Just a report that's out there. And my initial feedback was, wouldn't it be cool? I thought that this would be fun to do on stream even. Wouldn't it be cool? Here, let me push that. Git commit. Yeah, sure. That's our short-term Spring Health Assessment Report.
One of the first things that pops in my mind, I know it's a very minor thing, but since the tool currently already generates a PDF file, since we're also storing it in a source repository, or I store it in my source repository anyway for the consumers, it would also be nice if we could export it to an ASCII doc or Markdown. If I'm just using my terminal, I can just open VI or Visual Studio Code, and then I can also more easily follow on the evolution of it all.
Yeah. Have like the git diff log, right? My thought was, how cool would it be if I did a commit and I had a git action, a GitHub action that just went and submitted and said, hey, yeah, give me that report. And I just put it right back into my repository.
Yeah.
Right. Just like we do for, like, you've seen other repositories where they have like the issues and stars and like GitHub, Spring Health, like just that kind of thing. I think that would be cool.
Automatic trigger action to have the report generated. And maybe even nicer is, but then I'm thinking towards the future of the tool, is currently you generate reports with support, etc. But then if it also has an integration with the Spring Migrator or with modern or open rewrite tooling to help you resolve that.
Yeah. So you brought up like that, what's the next step? So in that report, right, again, this is kind of like a, hey, helping you decide where to focus. So there's some other things that are happening with this report. You're giving the Spring team some insight into what things that you're using, right? We're hoping, I think you'll understand this part. I've been talking about Open Rewrite for a year.
Yeah.
For well over a year. It's been on stage, it's been on conferences. Spring Boot Migrator on stage, on conferences. Modern has been a company for a long time, but people still haven't heard about it. Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't know how easy it is to upgrade. Mm-hmm. And in software, there's these different movements that happen, right? The Java, and JEE happens, and then, microservices. For a while, it was the enterprise service bus patterns. There's these things that happen in software that kind of take a little while, and then we go through these eras. Right now, thanks to Open Rewrite, companies like Modern, Spring Boot Migrator, the things that the Spring team is doing, the speed of business, the speed of the world with the Java releases and the Spring Boot releases. Right now, we're in this era where, in my head, your software's maturity, one of those characteristics, one of the vectors in that is, how easy is it to upgrade?
I even view it differently. I don't even see it as to upgrade, but even as to transform. Because one of the underappreciated advantages of Modern or OpenWrite itself is you can't just use it to upgrade your application from Spring Boot 2.6 to 3.1. Let's say you have an application that was originally written in the Java 8 period. It's fully tested using Hamcast, but now Hamcast and Java 21 not always the best combination. Yep. So you can also use OpenWrite to transform from Hamcast to SRJ, for example.
Yep.
That's not necessarily an upgrade in the traditional sense, but it's a
Yeah.
transformation of your application,
Yep.
which has a lot of benefits. Also for cloud suitability, for example.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. I'm so glad you. Thank you so much for giving me this. I want to do one more. That's going to. I think we're gonna get a different result, but I want to just do it live, just to show like
By the way,
there's some.
I saw pass by in chat that somebody wished that every company did their poster some example. But my advice on that front is lead by example. It's a very easy task to set up or even run. Um, it's something that takes 5 minutes. Just
Yeah.
do it for your own repository. Maybe share it with some colleagues and see if you can get some buy-in or give us an example.
Get feedback. We're gonna talk about being a developer advocate, right? Jonas, and this is, I'm just echoing what Simon just said in a slightly different way. This idea that you can be a developer advocate at your company in a bunch of different ways. You don't have to have the title, or work on Tasha's team to be a Spring developer advocate. Jonas, you could go and run this report just like we're going to do today. You could go and run this report and get some feedback from your team. Be like, hey, how cool is this? How cool is this report that we get it for free? And hey, is that neat or what? And get that feedback, right? That's part of the process. We're going to talk about that later today in the Spring Office Hours with Dan, the newly minted Java champion, Dan Vega. We're going to talk about that later today in his journey and what it's like. But I like to always mention, we both have said, we have been Spring developer advocates long before we were on Tasha's team. And Simon, you just kind of brought that up. Like, bring it up, like show it, take the initiative and show it. That's part of what we do, is getting that feedback. So I want to do this exact same thing for one of the other projects that we did last week. The task, the Spring Cloud task. I don't need to give away my credentials. And we're going to do the same. Oh, maybe I'm going to copy it again because we're going to run it again. So you can play along. And if you would play along, that would be fun. Like, play along, do this for one of your repositories right now, and share in the chat what your feedback is. Like, are you seeing anything funny or scary? I'm going to do this exact same thing. I'm going to get started. I'm going to copy this command. And this time, whoops, I'm in the wrong, where am I? Oh, I have different terminals open, that's why. Right? No, what happened? How did I get into this terminal? On javagrunt.com, the task. I don't want to put in my passwords. And let's run this command. So the same thing for this project. There was already a Spring dependencies text there because I ran it last week. But now I've modified it. Wait, is there... This is interesting. Oh, it's just the Maven dependency moved some things around. I wonder if I made some changes. So I got a new dependency report. This is different. So this is something for me. I got a new dependency report. I don't remember why or what I made changes to, but I don't think I did any upgrades since then. So this is really interesting. So we got a new Spring dependencies. Let's go and choose that same file, not from listener, but from the task. I did make changes, but I know it. I removed a bunch of stuff. So here, oh no, I added a bunch of stuff. I did. So here, we're going to send this new version of the file. I'm going to fill in my stuff. Oops. And we're going to get another report. And it goes really, really fast. That was the other thing that I was really surprised with, and how fast this is. So now we're doing for the Spring Cloud task, one that we did last week. And let's take a look. Now, this one's not as happy. So here's the thing. I generated this from start.spring.io.
You're not sharing your screen anymore with this.
Haha. Let's do that. So I went through the same steps. Sorry, I wasn't sharing the screen. I got a diff from this project that I ran this report last week, but now I've got a diff. I did, make some changes to this project over the weekend. So when you change dependencies, your dependencies tree changes. Oh, we're pulling this in a different order. So my analysis looks a little bit different. Same project. I started from start.spring.io. I think we did it on Thursday, right? We had Glenn on Wednesday. I did the Spring Batch on Wednesday, Spring Cloud Task on Thursday, and this is the project. So I went to start.spring.io and I grabbed the latest and greatest. But now this is the report where some of the stuff that I'm using, some of the Spring dependency that I'm using aren't supported. Right? That's concerning, but it's full transparency.
Yeah.
Right? It's not supported because OSS support, right? If I was betting my company on this, I could go get commercial support and I could have coverage for those things. So, good. But again, we got some vulnerabilities. There's one high, one moderate, it looks like. But let's go. So right now, 88% is covered by OSS, 28%. So that number is going to go down. It kind of gives you a view of what's going to happen. But we also know, because we had Glenn on, Glenn's working on the next release of Spring Cloud Task, right? So some of these things are going to get updated. But yeah, we're moving that direction. Every project has their own, right? Let's go over here. Let's go back to projects, go to Spring Cloud, and let's go down to Spring Cloud Task. And let's look at their support window, right? So this version of Spring Cloud Task 3.0, it's no longer in OSS support. 3.1 is in OSS support. Those new versions are coming, but every project has their own window of support. So because Spring Cloud 3.1 is in support, we know that those dependencies are going to get updated. So we're in good shape. But something else that I pulled in is giving us a slightly different report. That's okay. I like to know. So let's go down. We have our nothing critical, right? It's not going to be hard to upgrade. So you should feel a little bit of comfort there. It shows you where to get help in different ways, right? Whether you want the commercial support or you want to get Spring Consulting, which we don't really talk a whole lot about. When I'm out in the field and I'm showing people how easy it is to upgrade and I'm showing them the open rewrite and I talk about, hey, here's Spring Boot Migrator and it can help you do this. When we get to the hard stuff, the stuff that's not easy, when there's not a recipe, right? When it's a big migration from maybe another third-party vendor, maybe it's a commercial vendor, upgrading from the old version to the new version, Spring Consulting is the company that you go to that has the experts in Spring that you bring in, and they'll help you show you how to write recipes or give you some of the best practices, all that guidance from all over the globe. Whatever industry you're in, whatever vertical, they can help you move forward. But then here's all the stuff you're pulling in. It gives you all the support windows, where support ends, etc. And here we are. This Spring Cloud Deployer resource. This is the thing that's no longer supported. This version, Spring Cloud Deployer.
I think maybe one thing that immediately also springs to mind is it would be nice if there was a certain ordering to it, because now you have something that support to 2026, then no support, and then 24, then
Ordering.
26 again.
Right. So
maybe the most high risk or ending soonest, or even already ended up top, so you can see what needs my immediate attention.
Yeah. What needs my... Right. The other feedback, he said it would be nice to have SCI.
And you can just the diff, follow the evolution, and
yeah. Cool. Ordering based on support. What needs my immediate attention? Those are both awesome, right? It's brand new. It just came out today.
Yep.
Hey, Todd Libby, thank you for jumping in. And good luck on your flight. I hope you have fun and it's a safe flight for you. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for dropping in. So most things are good. We're running the Spring Data Commons, and this is a different version of Spring Data Commons than we saw on the other side, right?
Yeah.
We were using the older version. So I got some upgrades here, but then this goes into the CVEs that we have. So this is just saying that there's no CVEs, there's no vulnerabilities, but right now there's no support.
Yeah.
That's nice. Hello, Dan. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate you letting us know where you're from. Dan's not far away from me. So when we get our CVEs, which you're probably getting from other places, but it's nice that here we're letting you know that you've got the support. And that's the thing that I look at this differently. Now I can see like, hey, what's supported? Do I expect a release to come? Do I expect some things to come? I could probably go follow it in the GitHub repository because it's an open source project. So again, it's not that there's an issue with it. It's just that there's no support. So if there is an issue, if you find a bug in this today, there's a new version that you want to put your bug in, and that newer version, probably has it already.
On that note,
resolved.
maybe also, because now you just upload your dependency tree as a text file.
Yep.
It may be then akin to TFio or other dependency scanners. If you could also add an ignore file. For example, here we see you have an CVE, which is generating a warning for Spring Data on the H2 database. But I should speak for myself. I don't use H2 anymore. I use test containers. So while the CVE is certainly valid, it doesn't matter for me because I don't use H2.
Okay. Good idea. And you could probably just do that but one of the other things is we could have the exact same project that's pulling the exact same dependencies, but if our POM file is order different.
But I wouldn't add the dependency as an ignore. I would add the CVE as an ignore.
Oh, got it. That's good. I like that. I like that. The other thing that I'm just thinking through is like, if I put my dependencies in a different order, my dependency list is going to look different.
Yeah.
I'll still get all of the. No, not necessarily. Your order matters. So I can't just look at your dependency. You can't just say, hey, I'm using this, and this. The order of your POM file, the order of your Gradle file matters. So that's another thing. Just because a file is in your dependency tree somewhere doesn't mean it's going to get pulled in. If you order these things different, then maybe that retry gets pulled in another way. So having the actual output being sent and getting that report, I think, is important.
Yes.
Because
it matters with Maven.
It matters. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Just thinking out loud. What do I put in as company if I do this on my private stuff? Just say private NA, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. And I want you to, right, in the company box, put private NA. This as a question. Right? Yeah, it's a required field. So just fill it in, let them know, like, this isn't for a company. Because I think that there should be like maybe that should be a checkbox.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice. It'd be nice to like know, like, hey, this data is coming from an open source project or not. And if like, yeah, if I don't know. Because the other thing that makes me, as I'm thinking out loud, like for Jonas, if you're doing this on one of your public repos, if I was wanting to get as much help as I can on a repo, hey, like here's the public repo that I'm doing. If I sent that information instead of like my company information, that'd be cool for the Spring team or for anybody else to be like, oh yeah, hey, here, like I see what they're doing. I see why these dependencies are coming in this order to get more information, a way of going back. So this is what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that we have a way of going back and getting more information if we have questions. Also, it is not allowed to submit a Gmail account. Please your business email address. Okay. This says, don't believe the config server. It's a lie. I don't know what that means, but I'm interested to hear more. And thank you for being here. Like feedback, welcome. Okay, so use your business email address. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. There's resources being handled on the other side. Use your business email address. Can't do it with the Gmail. Yeah, that's good feedback. That's good feedback. So thank you for bringing that up. Let's keep on going. Public repo. Yeah, let's add that. Can't use Gmail, probably, or other generic. Requires business email. Okay, so good to know. So even though I'm doing my public, my public repos, I was putting in my business email. Probably I already ran into that. Probably already know it. So let's go. We're here. Add ignore list for CVE. That makes sense. I don't want that in my report, especially if I'm getting a diff. But here we are. Did I run it? What else do we see in here? Retry. Anything else jumping out here? There are some things down here. This report provides an assessment of the Spring libraries used within your project, detailing support status, security vulnerabilities, and migration efforts. It is essential to understand the scope and limitations of this assessment. Our vulnerabilities database is updated every 3 hours. If a new vulnerability appears over that period, it will not be included in the report. The vulnerabilities introduced by transitive dependencies do not consider overridden versions through dependency management. You do not always require full upgrade to mitigate the vulnerabilities reflected in the report. Sometimes you can alternatively overwrite a dependency. Projects with NA dates include projects that are run by the community or are not yet supported by the Spring team. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So there's a difference, right? Spring.io support. Right. So think of this in the enterprise lens. There is a difference. There's a lot of Spring projects out there. The Spring ecosystem is massive, but Tanzu, where this report is being generated, where am I? At tanzu.vmware.com. This org supports these projects, right? There are other projects that used to exist here, and I'm looking just to make sure, like Spring Cloud AWS, right? That used to exist here, and then that got handled, got moved out and is handled by other people in order for it to get the attention it needs and move at a different schedule along with AWS. So you're going to get those org Spring Framework libraries, but those are being supported in another channel. They're not being supported by the Spring team. So that's a great point to bring up here. This service is still in beta, which means we cannot guarantee 99.5 availability of this report. Okay. Should you encounter any issues or anomalies in the report not listed above, we strongly encourage you to contact our support team. Here's the support. Okay.
Could maybe be nice to add the support hours there, because in my case, are those support hours in my time or where in the USA they are located?
So I'm gonna guess that at Broadcom scale. Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
My CEO is talking. All right. I just called my wife my CEO yesterday on one of the streams. They're like, so what does that make you, CTO? No. I think we landed. I'm the executive assistant in my house, the executive assistant. But I think this
It will be
support
California
contact.
based, I guess, but not everybody will know the current time in California. So if
Yeah.
it's added there,
Well, I'm guessing that this is a list, and based on what I know, this project is not in California.
ah,
It's not housed in California. So I'm guessing that this is a list and it goes out to people all over the world, so that it'll be supported.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm sure that there's a support on there, but still, not to be ignored, right? I don't want to like that's a good feedback.
also it mentions working hours, but
Oh, it mentioned working hours.
yeah, it said to during we will be glad to assist you during working hours.
Oh, okay, yes. But doesn't. Um, okay, fantastic, fantastic. I'm gonna take this report and I'm gonna save it. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. Save as PDF. Cool. Save it. Wait, replace. Yeah, replace it. And I'm going to copy that one. The spring health assessment report here. Get status. Get add those. I'm just putting them into my repository. I really think that GitHub action would be cool.
Yeah.
And now that it's public, maybe I can work on something like that. So what are your other thoughts? Any other feedback?
I think
Cool, worth it?
it's cool, it's worth it. And maybe one thing to see also would be nice in the future is if we could add some kind of, well, if it's available as an ASCII doc or a markdown, it matters less. But if it stays as a PDF for business reasons, it would be nice if we could provide a time leave template or a kin. Say we have a project guideline or we want to provide it to stakeholders to get a buy-in. And if you can prettify it a bit or customize it a bit, it's always
To generate. Did I capture that right?
yeah, sounds good.
I like that. So like for me, what this is going to do is like when I come into a team, like we get to like travel around and I like working with teams. Like that's my fun place, my happy place. When I go into a team, I can like look, especially when they're doing the migration stuff. I can go in and I can run this report, like say, hey, go do this. Like we're here. Let's just go do it. Let's get an idea of where we want to start. Right. One of those feedbacks is like, what do I need to do first? Right. What needs my immediate attention?
Yeah,
But on the other side of that conversation is which ones should I be able to upgrade easily? Right. If I've got 100 applications in my portfolio, 100 applications that we're trying to upgrade from Java 8 to Java 21 and from Spring Boot 2.x to Spring Boot 3.2.1, which ones are going to be easy?
yeah,
Right? Just based on the Spring dependencies, right? If you're using Spring Corba, right, you're going to have some problems, right? But still, like there's these, it should help. Oh, and Jonas just shared. Oh, Jonas, look at you, buddy. Jonas just put his PDF into one of his reports. Oh, yes. I love this. So I'd encourage you, and if you have a moment, take a look. Let's go and let's do this. Let's throw this URL. Did I do that already? Let's throw this URL. Ooh, hello. Uh-oh. Did we kill it? I don't think we did. Maybe I did something wrong. But that might be a bug. Oh boy. Hey, is this still coming up for you? Let me put this URL out there. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Overload. My stream. You guys, you're overloading the service. What a great problem to have, right? On day one, what a great problem to have. Here's the URL. Like, yeah, let's hit it. Let's see how many of these reports that we can generate. Let's figure it out. Let's get the report. Jonas says things are looking good on his new repo. Thank you again for doing that. But yeah, this is the new thing. It just out just today. We're getting started just to help. Like if you're trying to generate buy-in for your upgrade, like you got those 100 apps, you can go and run this report and you can be like, hey guys, look, give me permission to go do it because there's 15 of these that look like they're going to be fairly easy upgrades. You could show them the open rewrite plugins and how it could be easy. You could show them Spring Boot Migrator and the new cool things that are coming with Spring CLI. That's if you care about that. If you care about being on the latest and greatest, if you care about having nice green reports and feeling a little bit secure, if you care about not being on the front page of the news for the wrong reason, right? You might want to like patch things and keep it upgraded. I firmly believe that we're in a new era of software. Purnima, our one leadership here at VMware Tanzu, I like to quote her. I love the way she said it, and it hit me just right in the chest. She said, we're in a time where a company like OpenAI can go from 1 to 100 million users in 4 months. We're also in a time where one of the world's most popular banks can go bankrupt in 2 days. The speed of business is moving fast. We need to move fast. We're Duct Tape DevOps just dropped in, and I'm going to say something that might resonate here. This idea of we do patches every 6 months. We can't do that anymore. We can't do that anymore. If you've got vulnerabilities, if you've got things that because the bad guys don't do it every 6 months, right? The bad actors are not sleeping. They don't have a patch window. They are waiting for you to have this 6 month patch window. So they've got 5 months to come in and exploit you in your business. And especially anybody here, I don't want you to be on the front page for the wrong reason. So I like to talk about upgrading. I think that we're in this time where the time between when a new patch comes out and when you get it deployed to production, I think that's an important measure. That's what we should be measuring. Not, we do it every 6 months. 6 months is too long. 2 months is too long. 30 days, I think, is like, that's pushing it. I think that's at the extreme if you're doing this every 30 months. But I think the better approach is you should just be doing it continuously.
Yeah.
Right? You should be doing it continuously.
And automate it as much as possible, like the new SSL support in Spring Boot.
Yeah. So Duct Tape DevOps says, what's your take at CV at the library level versus the image level? It's two different things, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's two different things. I think you have to do it both. The things that we're putting into those SBOMs, the things that we're putting into those at the library level are important. I want to know, right? Because if your container image, if you're not exposing it, it might be in an exploded jar. Like you got to figure these things out. But also, yeah, like once there's the difference. Just being reported on a CVE doesn't mean you're exposed to that CVE. Just because the library has a CVE, one of Simon's feedbacks was like, hey, I know it's a CVE, but we don't care about that one. Be able to like ignore that one. So yeah, you have options, but every business is different, right? So the famous, it depends. Do I retest the Java or just the image? Both.
Both.
Both. So as those CVEs, so let me draw kind of a picture of the way. And now this is a picture where I'm not making a statement. I'm more asking a question, right? I'm over here. This is what I think developer says does get commit, and someplace it lands in production. But I believe that there's like these circles of things that are happening. I'm gonna put a little arrow here because I don't know how to do like a circle with an arrow on it. I'm gonna do it like this. Oh, how does that look? Oh, it's not a big enough arrow. Yeah, it is. It's like there's these loops of things where we're getting CVEs, right? The CVE list. Right? That's coming in, and we're getting all those updates, and we're constantly scanning our metadata repository. Let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. Right? Does that resonate? Does that picture make sense? Where, oh, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Where I've got this loop of things that's constantly getting info from the rest of the world and constantly checking like what's gone to production, what's my state of production, and am I okay still? Whether it's on the container or the library, right? I'm getting all of those CVs in, and I want to make sure that I know. We talked about build packs yesterday, so with Ductate DevOps. I've got to do that same thing for both my libraries and my images, is what I believe. Is that right, Simon? Is that how you feel? Like, this is what we need to be doing. So in my container, if I've got Alpine latest base image and I get a CVE, I got to know what's in production running that base image, where that's it, and what I need to rebuild, what I need to roll out, right? But the same happens if I've got log4j. Both of those things need to happen as those new issues come in, because the CVE that comes in for a base image thing might not, it doesn't matter on the library side. It's two different vectors. It's two different sets of data, I think, that we need to look at. So how does it compare, for example, to OWASP security report? OWASP security report is, I've had this conversation, and I'm going to show you the, let me connect the dots here, because this is a good question, and I think there's a lot of confusion around OWASP. So let me first say Andrew Clay Schaefer, and I can picture her face, but I cannot remember. Why am I blanking? I apologize. Let me go and connect some dots real quick. I'm gonna do my little connect the dots so I can get my brain together. Sasha, wait, Rosenblum is the name, and that came to me without getting to my. I think I'm spelling this right. Let me find it.
I think isn't it Baum?
Did I spell her first name right?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes, or Rosenbaum. Yes, thank you. Yeah, they did their thing, ergonautically. They're brilliant people, but Sasha had a video live stream with, I don't remember the person's name. So this is where my head goes, like that idea. That report is really of, these are the things that you're supposed to look out for. Like, these are the high risk things, and that report, it changes all the time, but it's not, there's no fixes there. It's just like, you need to be looking out and be concerned for these things. These are the most important things that you need to be looking out for. And a lot of people kind of put that into their system, but there's no like fixes. You don't just fix like, hey, you're doing keys this way or you're doing authentication this way. Like this is how you're exposed. So this is kind of a guidance, but there's no real solutions in the OAuth security report. So what we're doing here, the Spring Health Assessment, is again, it's a totally other vector that's saying, hey, you've got some upgrades and are you supported? Right? So I'm giving you a different set of information in order to move forward with. And then, and look at, here's Tukes, right? Tukes, maybe your ears were burning. I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad that you're here. I was talking about how you have done a great job of going and helping find people that are live streaming around Java. So I appreciate all the work that you've done. And I'm glad you're here. Duct Tape DevOps says, can you drive your CVE scanning from right to left? CVE in a prod image forces a rebuild of the library, etc. From right to left. CVE in a prod forces. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a open question, but yeah, I think that is possible. I hope that you're doing scanning before you get to production. And I think the scanning of production, like the pen testing, container scanning, just doing it in production, that worked for a long time. But now I think maybe OWASP would have the same thing. I think a lot of the problems.
The only thing consideration in that case is right to left is certainly doable.
Yeah.
But is that valuable if you deploy every day? I think that's maybe a bit of a discussion you need to have with yourself. If you deploy daily, does it make sense? But if you only deploy once a month, every 2 months, 3 or 6 months, then it's fine. But if you deploy daily, of course, then there's less value in right to left, in my opinion.
Yeah. That, right. What's the delta here? T0 to T production. How much time do we have between when something is committed to when it gets into production? If you're only scanning in production, what's that delta? What does that cycle look like for production? And how much value do you get out of rerunning production scans? I guess it really depends on how much stuff is coming through the pipeline, et cetera. But my default is that a lot of the problems aren't found or issues in production. A lot of the scariest problems are in the software supply chain. Like, are you, and we talked about this yesterday, Duct Tape DevOps, are you letting your developers push a Docker file and you're building a Docker file? Are you letting that go to production? Because what's in that Docker file? Are you scanning the contents of that Docker file? Like, how do you know that they're not doing Bitcoin mining or, capturing data? Hold on. Thank you so much. I think that those are the risks that are scarier than the production, pen test, scanning from outside in. Dan says we have Fortify scanners. Yeah, like there's all sorts of options, and I honestly don't know the blend and what the landscape looks like. All I know is that if I'm a developer, I would feel a lot more confident knowing about an issue before something goes to production than waiting for a report to come back from production. That's just me. I want to find out things as early as possible. The right to left approach, I'm sure it works, and it has worked for a long time. But for me and my platform too, I'm not going to let, I talk about the Deshaun Cloud and Flux Control, being able to bring somebody else's repository onto my platform, my Raspberry Pis. I'm not going to let you bring in a Docker file. I'm not going to spend the time to go through those Docker files. I'm going to use build packs. So I have consistency. I'm going to get the yes bombs. I'm going to do those kind of things to give myself as the platform operator confidence, right? If I'm going to bring your software into my house, I'm going to use build packs. I'm not going to let you bring your Docker file. I'm going to do this. I want to look at it from the left to right. Yeah. As we get to production and those types of concerns, yeah, I'm going to have to level up. But again, I've got a little bit of background on that. I started hosting stuff in the 90s. So yeah, I'm comfortable going forward. But yeah, here we are. ECR scanning to block staging promotion, in my opinion. Yep. Yeah, that's a absolutely. There's different gates. Different companies have different gates along the way. But I want to find out as soon as possible, right? Even if all my tests pass, if there's an issue, if there's a known CVE, I want to find out as soon as possible. Not even staging, because depending on your company, those times matter, right? Where are those things? What is the delta in time? I want to know as soon as possible. But good, like this is great. So for everybody, Duct Tape DevOps, I just met, and I'm already a big fan. He's talking about AI, hosting AI, LLMs, hosting your own LLMs. What can you do with AI? And he's got a great breadth. I watched one of his shows that he live streamed over on LinkedIn, but I know he also streams on Twitch. So I can give him a shout out over here on Twitch. And he's doing good things. And I'm looking forward. We're hopefully going to be collaborating at some point in the near future. So thanks for being here and hanging out. Dan says, I put Docker Scout into our Jenkins build. Fantastic, as you should. Like, I want confidence, and there's lots of tools out there to give you confidence. Yes, ECR, like Docker Hub. There's also, Anchor, right? There's tons of tools. So that's a good thing. Like, throw out, look at Dan says, Duct Tape DevOps has the coolest avatar, and he's subscribing, as you should. Dan Vegas here, the latest, newest, recently coined Java champion. Dan, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and congratulations all the way, our newest Java champion. He is absolutely a Java champion in every way, shape, and form. But this is a cool thing. This just happened today. So yes, doing all the stuff. Congratulations. But as we're talking about scanners and stuff, we're looking at the Spring Health Assessment Report. What are some of the other tools that you're using, just out of my curiosity? Let me know what tools you're using in your path to production to give you some confidence. What's your gripe? What's your scanner tools? Again, like just for me, like I'm building these tools, I'm building this platform. What's your vote for what I should put in my path to production over here on Deshaun Cloud? Yeah, of course. Spring Health Assessment Report. So while you're telling me what tools you've got in your path of production, let's do one more, because we almost have the Java Grunt library or the repo full. I added this web. But let's go. I don't think I put that into GitHub yet. Java Grunt, the service gateway. Let's make sure we're on the latest and greatest, and let's just do one more of these Spring Health Assessment Report. Dan, you'll be happy to know that we think that we DDoSed the Spring Health Assessment Report because everybody's running these Spring Health Assessment Reports on their own repositories. Here, look at this. Sonar, OWASP, and Git leaks. I like that. That's a good list. Create a survey in YouTube. I should do that. But I don't know how to do that. I bet you Dan does. That's what I should have done. Can I do that? I don't have those things. You're telling me I got to learn how to do surveys.
I think you also need them on all layers, because I think it already starts with learning something like renovate at the repository level itself.
Something I need to do. That's a note to self. But you just said, we got to do all layers, right?
Because I think we had discussions about the different tools, but to me, the tools aren't mutually exclusive. They are to be used in conjunction. The more detailed information I get,
right,
and preferably also the earlier. That's why I start with Renovate, Nick or Keen. Don't even let the image go to your development environment if there are CVEs, or maybe work with quality gates that maybe a
Yeah.
minor CV can go to dev, but certainly not to staging.
Right. It's like it's a like big picture.
Yeah.
And different blends of tools can still work, right? Like if you pick tool A for your container scanning, you can still use A, B, C, or D for your library scanning. There's different blends, and different companies have different relationships. Yeah, for your tool sets. And the nice thing is, like, you should be able to plug in and plug out different things. And my opinion, it's okay to have two different tools that are doing the same thing. Like if you're trying to like compare apples to apples or do a bake off, like your supply chain should be able to do like this kind of move. Like, hey, I'm gonna go do a security scan with product A and with product B, and I'm gonna capture that data for a few months. And I say this because it's we did this as I have an experiment or experience of doing this. Like we're sending that security scan, that device or container scan to two different tools, right? Vendor comes in and says, hey, yeah, we think that we're better. And we ran production workloads for 30 days. Thousands of deployments go into production for 30 days. And then you just compare the output. Like which tool found the things and caused the least amount of noise, and which tool were we able to do things like the add the ignores, right? Right. That's the big thing is like adding the ignore. Right. I think it's okay to have more than one tool in your path to production doing the same thing or overlapping, right? That Venn diagram. Oh yeah, we get overlap and that's okay. As long as you leave it in your supply chain, as long as you let the automation do it and it's not slowing down your developers and it's not slowing down that time from T0 to T production. That's my opinion. You can take it, you can throw it away, you can throw it back. So yeah, we're doing cool stuff. Let's go grab another one of these spring health assessments. As the more we do it, maybe we'll find some other things. So I'm using Maven. I'm going to copy that same command. We're here in com Java Grunt Service Gateway. We're going to run that command. It's easy. Let's make sure I wasn't in the middle of something. So
I
it's doing
think
is
the next thing that springs to mind is if you integrate this into Spring CLI as an option, because a lot of the data that you're currently using can be read from your COM file. Like what's my organization, what's my email address.
that I think I said the GitHub action would be great, but that's also great, right? What if I could just have this tied into my Spring CLI? This is something that I should have thought. My opinion is if you've got tools in your path to production and you're like me, oh, I don't want to wait. I don't want to have to do a commit in order to see if there's a CVE on this thing. My belief, my opinion is I've got this tool here for whatever that tool is. I want that tool to be available to me as a CLI as well. I think they
Also,
should be one to one. I think I should be able to get the same information that I might get from any one of these tools. I should be able to get that same information before I do a commit.
that, and I also dislike context switching. So if I can do it from Spring CLI, that's a very lower cognitive load for me than having to do an export, upload it, go to my browser again. If I can do it all from my terminal, I'm a happy developer.
Again, this just came out today. I really feel like you are giving me this great information. So thank you so much for this. I'm going to do this one more, but that was a good one. So the only thing we've changed is our Spring dependencies. We're going to go back here to the browser. Now I feel like, oh, I'm doing so much extra work. I'm going to go back to the browser and I'm going to grab that file. We're not in the task. Now we're in this gateway.
Maybe a
And
silly question. Does it allow a drag and drop?
what
Or
was that?
does it allow a drag and drop? Or is it always you need to click the browse button? The website itself. Now you're always clicking upload file, but if I have my file window open, can I just drag and drop
Can I
my
drop
file
it?
from
I
there?
don't know.
Or
I
maybe
don't know.
even better, if there was just a
Yeah.
text area, so I could
Whoops.
paste.
So here, this is something. Look at I'd selected Spring dependencies, but then when I choose file, if I hit cancel, it disappears. I don't know if that's the right case. So yeah, it's something else. But I'm gonna fill this in. Drag and drop would be nice. I'm gonna put that over
And
here.
maybe also just a text area, because we can just copy paste the input.
Oh,
Because if I grab to my code base, then I can just reuse it even.
yep. Good. Spring developer advocate. This is great. I work at Broadcom. Here's my business email address. And I'm in the great state of Missouri. So let's go get a report. Send the new stuff. I think this has got a lot more libraries in it than the other ones. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing.
The
Oh.
other ones were in the 30s and 5% high effort.
So look at this. Recommit hooks. That's a great idea. And Dan says IntelliJ shows CVE in the POMIC. Yes. But now here's the difference. You're bringing up, this is more than just CVE, right? And it's not third-party dependency. This is just about the Spring projects. So when we did that, let's go look here. Cat Spring dependencies. The command that we ran here, we said grep for just org Spring framework. We want to just get the Spring framework dependencies. So this isn't a catch-all. This is just the Spring team. You're giving the Spring team insight into what projects you're actually using. So thank you, right? So if you're doing nothing else, you're just letting the Spring team know, like, hey, here's the projects that we're using. Here's how they're getting pulled in your library, right? It might be a different order. You might have selected the same things from start.spring.io, but maybe you put them into a different order in your build file, and maybe you have a different output than what I've got. So you're letting the Spring team know by doing it this way. You're letting the Spring team know how things are coming in. Jonah says the drag and drop seems to work. Wonderful. But this is not just about the CVEs. So we're going to get the CVEs just for the Spring dependencies. We're going to see now, are they supported? So if I've got a CVE on my pom.xml showing in IntelliJ, can I expect it to be patched? So right now, everything in this library has support. There is a CVE, a moderate one. We'll take a look. And there's some upgrade paths, but is it going to be hard to upgrade? No. So let's continue to take a look at this report, another report. Our findings, hey, over the next 10 months, we're going to see that, hey, things are going to change. There's one library with a security vulnerability. 2 of the libraries are likely to require high engineering effort to upgrade. I'm interested to see what that is. I got a new watch and my watch is blowing up here. So Spring recommendations, purchase Spring runtime to extend your support. Did we see that before? Was that in the other ones? Upgrade one library with identified vulnerabilities. This is interesting. Okay. Our support over time. We have the vulnerabilities and the upgrade effort. That's a duplicate. Does this report look different than it just did? I feel like this is looking a little bit different, but maybe not.
You get help, and so was also there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember these parts. Maybe I just didn't remember. So again, one of the things that we said was maybe it'd be nice if these were ordered by like support, when support ends. Yeah. So I could, see how what I need to focus on the most. But as we go down, there's no vulns. We're good. We're seeing this full list. Here we go. Spring Data Commons 3.2.1. We already saw that. It's moderate. There are 2 in here. All right. Now, what is the plus for on these ones? Oh, there's an upgrade. There's an upgrade effort here.
Yeah.
So this is good. Spring session data Redis. So this might be a big upgrade for me. So these are good. So I don't think we've seen this on, or we haven't opened it before, where this is telling me that I've got an upgrade.
I think in my case, I prefer it if it was a bit more of a visual indication that that one involved an effort than just a plus mark, because plus mark is a bit vague.
Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to move some stuff down. I want it better. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. So I like this. So we have open source support. This might be fun to go and take a look at the upgrade path and my ordering, because this is an upgraded 2021.0, which we know that 2023.0 is out. So I might have pulled in things wrong, but this is something I've personally, based on this, I've got actionable items that I can go and do with this report. So this is good. And I read through all the disclaimers. Those are going to be the same, but I don't have any other pluses. I got a nice little report. Markdown would be nice so that we can do some other automation based on this report. That'd be kind of cool too, right? But I'm going to do this. I'm going to save it. And I think it's cool. Jonas did it. Like, do one of these reports. You're helping the Spring team, but save it. Like, put it into your repository. If you've got an open source project based on Spring, like, go and run this report and throw one of these into your repository so that somebody else doesn't have to run it against your project, right? Which they could do, but just do it for them. Save them the effort. I'm going to save that here. Yes, replace it. And then we're going to do this. Move that here. And we're going to add those. Again, I run this same report in 3 hours. It might be different, right? Yeah. New CVEs are coming in all the time. This is something that we should be doing regular. What would be nice would be, yeah, it would be nice to see that kind of, that trend over time, trend from red towards green. So yeah, I like that idea. But yeah, this is where we're at. It's 2024. I didn't get into the Spring data as much as I want. This has been a great, interesting conversation. And Simon, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What are you working on these days, Simon? Everybody, this is Simon. Simon's my friend. I'm a big fan. He's doing amazing things. We have a lot of shared interests. I love when I go to somebody else's live stream and Simon's already there. Like, I'm like, hey, yeah, we're here. We're here at the concert together. We're wearing the t-shirt. Like, it's always fun. What are you working on these days? What's keeping you interested?
Well, December was a lot of fun for me since that's Advent of Code. So
yeah.
I've been wanting to practice my data algorithms a bit, want to learn Kotlin to see, and that seemed a perfect opportunity to combine them both, especially thanks to Kotlin now. It improved my Java skills actually, because Kotlin has a couple of different paradigms. It still runs on the EVM, of course, but it makes certain bits for functional programming a bit easier. And I managed to leverage that to my Java knowledge itself, which is always fun. Currently working on a little bit about being kind to ourselves in our testing. Because a lot of projects that I'm working on, I see a lot of hard assertions. And being, you see people when they, for example, if you're mapping something, people tend to assert field per field per field, while certain libraries like AssertJ allow soft assertions. So you can bundle your assertion, and then you see all your failed assertions in one go. So a bit being kind to ourselves and to our colleagues, and since that makes developing and testing a lot more enjoyable. So yeah, that's my next blog post that I'm working on.
Yeah, that sounds like a good conference talk. Just throwing that out there. Are you speaking at any conferences anytime soon?
I submitted some CFPs, so hopefully
Well, I wherever I can follow, do me a favor, throw your blog
yeah,
into the chat,
will do.
and I'll throw that up because yeah, I love your stuff and your repositories. It's always fun. But yeah, throw that into the chat, and we'll let everybody know that you are worth a good follow. Thank you, Harpreet, sharing a spring health assessment report. Share some details. Let me know what you if you have thoughts. Jonas, Harpreet, you guys, thank you for taking it for a spin. If you've got thoughts or opinions or any kind of feedback, let me know. I appreciate that. I'll make sure it gets to the right people. But this is good. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to hear about that. I'd love to see it as a talk. But I'll look forward to the blog post. What else is on your radar? Did you set goals for 2024?
A lot,
Yeah.
as always. Yeah, Kotlin get more involved. Yeah, general community. Want to do some conference call talks. Want to do a bit of coaching. Join the CFP, maybe help out with some proposals. Yeah, just contribute to the community, help out people, knowledge sharing, all the fun stuff.
Wonderful. Well, that's exciting. I wish you the best in 2024.
You too.
And we're doing good stuff. I feel like yeah, we're trending in the right direction. At least we're getting a good start on the new year, and that's always fun. Uh, my son is helping out a bit. I'm excited for him to be streaming yesterday. My wife needed me to do something, and my son was like, "Yeah, mom needs you." And he comes in. I was like, "Well, I was just about to run this demo. You want to do it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he sat down and he ran the demo. There were some errors in it, and he didn't realize that there was errors and it was going to be broken, but he did it anyways, and it was awesome. And he just sat down and he went with it, and his confidence was up. And I was like, man, like as the dad, I coach him in his teams. Dr. Devon says he killed it. Like I coach him in his teams, and I love what he's doing, like on the field and with his classmates and stuff. But to see him like have this other skill set that I never even looked for, uh, you know, when I was young, and yeah, more and more people are doing it, and yeah, to have him get to do that and do a good job of it, his confidence is way higher than mine is. It's been fun.
I
So
think
in
that's
2024, I think uh, I've already talked it over with the CEO. He is going to be allowed to do some streaming and have fun with it. Play your games and do it. But if I can, the more I can pull him into like the tech space and what are these concerns, like what does HDMI mean? He picks up things in my room and he's like, oh, I know what that does. I know what that piece is. He's been building Raspberry Pi since he was 4. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do more of that in 2024. I am going
that's
to do my
also
Spring Certified Professional. I'm studying. I'm going to take that test. That's one of my other goals.
I think that's also very valuable for the community in general, just getting input and feedback or experience from people from different groups. It's something I'm trying to gather myself because I notice, yeah, if I interact with people from different countries, you get such different feedback, and then
Yeah,
that allows for a lot of new insights. And also, you need to figure out a way to help to move forward as well, because yeah, it's what we were chatting a bit about earlier. But yeah, some people are still using Java 8, but it's not about just saying yeah, Java 8 is bad, but I think we also need to get the insight is why are they using that version? Are there certain restrictions? And
yeah,
how can we clarify and help to move forward? I mean, he still was helping out a student, and his teacher was still teaching them Java 7. I think that's a bit up to us to help raise awareness and help people move forward.
absolutely. I agree 100%. that's a little concerning, right? Like if kids in academia are still being taught Java 7, like, hey, great, but also not so great.
Yeah.
Still going to work. You're gonna be able to use all of those things, but you're not being exposed to all the new cool things. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And if it was Java 8, it would be less bad, but
Yep.
then you could at least do a bit of functional programming. But with Java 7, it's quite a paradigm shift.
Yeah. And I also understand limiting, like, hey, this is our scope. This is what we're going to focus on, and that. So, yeah. But yeah, we have a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah.
2024 is going to be fun. I'm going to, yeah, I didn't really have an agenda. I want to do some spring data stuff, but we can do that later. If there's anybody that has questions, now's the time, right? Especially with Simon here. Simon's brilliant. But I'm just going to open up. Maybe we'll end a little early if there's no big questions. Duct Tape DevOps says, I think your AI play will drive that update. I hope so. I hope so. So I've been doing the AI stuff, and I kind of talk about that a little bit. I've been doing the AI stuff on the stream. Like, I feel like AI is just going to get plugged in. It's just going to be that model is going to get plugged into whatever you're doing, just like your your Excel equations. It's just going to data in, data out, and you're just going to kind of go along with it. And it's going to be soft, fuzzy data, right? The AI models are going to change all the time, and the data that you get in, it's not going to be the same answer all the time. There's going to be these patterns where that's okay, right? We're in this kind of like new data evolution as well. This time, this era that we're in, where data is being recycled and regurgitated in different ways by different models. I made the statement, I think that our documentation is more important now than ever because of the models that are going to go in and consume it and make decisions based on your documentation.
I think Valin's actually already using AI for some of its stuff.
Yeah, right? Like there's a lot of things. Oh, okay, DevOps says, so ECS Fargate is only on CPU. I've been working towards PostgreSML to host a GPU. But with what you were telling me, LLM, Lang, agent, pipelining will be back on CPU shortly. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's all these things are going to move towards CPU. And you're going to have, it's just another vector. You're not going to have a GPU to do a lot of these cool things going forward. So yeah, fun stuff. If you got any kind of questions, if you come over to my house for dinner and you leave hungry, that's your fault. We're here. We've got time. We've got brilliant folks in the audience and on stream with us. If you've got any kind of questions, ask. Let us know where you're at. Maybe we can help. I don't always have the answers, but I've got friends that oftentimes do. So if you've got any questions, and if not, that's okay. Take that spring health assessment report out for a spin. Let us know how it's working for you. If you've got feedback, I'm not the stop, but I definitely know how to get it to the right people. Would love to hear your feedback on that spring health assessment report. And yeah, next time we'll come back and we're going to do we'll go back into the spring data. All the stuff that we're doing, tying into the YouTube APIs. How should we organize that data? What I was planning on doing is just like do the same thing with a bunch of different backends and show how easy it is to go from one spring data library to the other and have kind of a consistent vibe, and just plug them all in. Why not? It's okay to have more than one thing doing the same thing. But then you can do some compare and contrast. Learn a little bit by doing the comparison. Just another approach. That's what I was planning on doing. We'll get into that later this week. But I'm getting ready to head out. I'm going to go skiing. I'm going to try to stream in the mornings, just because it's time. We're going to be in Colorado, so earlier. So I'll try to get out in the morning. I'll do shorter streams, but I'm going to try to continue streaming even while I'm on vacation, and we'll see how it goes. So there's no questions showing up in the chat. Thanks everybody for joining. Simon, thank you so much for coming along, and I hope to see everybody later today. Spring office hours, we're going to be talking about developer advocates and how you can be a developer advocate in your org. You don't have to be out in the community on the conferences, but what does that journey look like? Know a little bit about what the career looks like. We'll give you those insights as well. But yeah, we'd love to see you there at Spring Office Hours on a new time and same channel. Today it's going to be at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Spring Office Hours. Hope to see you there. Other than that, Take care. We'll see you soon. Thanks again, Simon.
Right.